Hello, my name is Tshidi Madia. So groundbreaking news. Maybe not so much. I don't think this qualifies as groundbreaking news. But news coming out of Johannesburg this week that Mayor Kabelo Gwamanda has stepped down. You know why it's not groundbreaking? We've been waiting for this for a very long time. I think he has been waiting for the penny to drop or the other shoe to drop as far as his mayoral hold, mayoral seat, mayoral chain is concerned. Kabelo Gwamanda, of course, being elected mayor in May 2023, meant to stick around for a really short period. He was a stopgap measure. I think around about 3-4 months on the job was expected, and he lasted a record-breaking 15 months on the job. He has finally resigned. I've had conversations with the outgoing mayor, his thoughts about the future, some of the difficulties that he faced. I think he used the word harassment when he spoke about this period. And I said, just because we ask you to account doesn't mean we're harassing you. He's got very dim views about the media. We take it. We're not everyone's favorite. That's fine. But, he says he does go to council. He did account. He's very proud of this tenure, but he does look at the tenure really as a whirlwind, if you may, a roller coaster ride. I think at some point he said to me, maybe now I can finally get some sleep. And that's the thing, maybe he will get a little bit of peace. In my reading of this, it's not groundbreaking. No, not at all. There's nothing earth-shattering about this development. In fact, you need to go back to when this agreement was made, when this pact was made, to have minority mayors put in positions, key positions across some of the metros. When a smaller Yana mayor was appointed in Ekurhuleni and you had the EFF's Gauteng Dunga as finance MMC, I said that's finance MMC is the de facto mayor. In Johannesburg, when Kabelo Gwamanda, in fact, Thapelo Ahmad, you need to go back further. Thapelo Ahmad, who is Kabelo Gwamanda's comrade in Al Jamaa, was made mayor and he lasted only 3 months. When that appointment happened, Dada Morero was appointed finance MMC. I said, well, there is your de facto mayor. I also predicted at the time that should the parties rise and take over those specific cities, in Johannesburg, Dada Morero would become mayor, and that's kind of where we are right now in that story. In Ekurhuleni, I predicted that if the EFF eventually gets mayorship, Gauteng Dunga will become mayor. Well, that side, Gauteng Dunga is not even an MMC any longer, has been fired. So a lot can happen in Gauteng's metros in a day, in a month, in a week. But coming back to Gwamanda, there's no surprise about Kabelo Gwamanda's resignation. What is interesting for me is how it dragged on. We knew it was coming, and we also knew for sure that it would happen once the general election results came out. I'd also said that the cities, the metros, would also be part of the horse trading, the bartering that takes place when the different political parties go to the negotiation table. And Stru's Bob, if you listen to the talks about the GNU, they wanted a government of national unity, value at national level. They wanted a province. It didn't work out in Gauteng, but they wanted to also filter all the way down to local government. So that's what the DA had actually wanted, to have a partnership with the ANC across the different spheres of government. That didn't happen. A GLU, though, did exist in some form, shape, iteration, if you may, in Johannesburg. And that was where the ANC, the PA, the EFF came together with smaller parties, delivering Thapelo Ahmad, the predecessor, and obviously Kabelo Gwamanda, who we speak of now, and as I said again, Dada Morero's finance MMC. This resignation dragged on. It's been weeks of talking about going. We really, every week, we're saying, okay, maybe it's this week Gwamanda goes. Because ANC members have been talking about it with the media. The ANC had been boldly saying that it wants an ANC candidate to stand up and lead the city of Johannesburg. But what you're having, and that's a big confusion for me, is Al Jamaa's leader, Hendrik Hendricks, all over. He did a media tour where one day Kabelo Gwamanda is the best mayor that Joburg has ever seen. The next day, Kabelo Gwamanda must stay until Christmas. Ning Omni Panyaza Lusufi, the premier of Gauteng, can tell Kabelo Gwamanda where to go, what to do. The difficulty, though, with Hendrik Hendricks' messaging is it was causing confusion. It's one of those things that I think kept the story alive, if you may. So you hear of developments behind the scenes. Kenneth will do a media tour. It will lead to confusion. It will lead to a back and forth. But you also need to recognize that while this is happening in the public domain, Kenneth with this Action SA is at the table. Yeah, the Action SA with the ANC about working together in Johannesburg. What this looks like, according to Action SA, would be a trade-offs kind of relationship, but it also requires that the ANC gives Action SA the position of speaker. I'm actually waiting to see how that plays itself out, because at some point, Action SA didn't believe that the ANC will see through this particular thing, but I'll revisit this when I speak about the way forward. And now we're here where at some point this week, Kabelo Gwamanda, the youngest mayor, by the way, to serve the city of Johannesburg, has tendered his resignation. As I said, I've spoken to him. He's looking forward to getting a little bit of sleep. What happens now? A special council will be held in Johannesburg. Dada Morero, if you have not picked up on my hints, my very obvious hints, will ascend to the position of mayor of Johannesburg. I can't see anything stopping him now. I think part of the delays, by the way, around Kabelo's resignation had to be the talks in the ANC. So the ANC doesn't just do things as a structure itself. Its regional executive, its province becomes involved, and ultimately national office and its officials at national level have a say over what needs to happen. The interesting thing for me is that a lot of what happens in the ANC gets started by internal contestation, right? So even this is not left untouched, if you may. So when I look at this particular issue around Kabelo Gwamanda, or rather who replaces Kabelo Gwamanda, the ANC Johannesburg is a regional conference next year. Dada Morero is the current chair. Trust me, there's contestation over who should replace Dada Morero and how powerful will that person be. And what flows from there, from regional conferences across the board, will be provincial conferences, and we'll be back at a Nazareth conference where they elect national leadership. So what you are seeing, a lot of the decisions already are pointing towards moving puzzle pieces to favor one person or another. So nothing you see in politics is isolated. The party, the ANC, has moved past Cyril Ramaphosa. He served his 2 terms. He's in his second term of ANC presidency. They look to the future. They jostle to the future. When you hear Mbalula saying all people are interested in conference politics, he's not lying. I wish he would take us into his conference and tell us who people are, because some people say people is him, the Secretary General of the ANC. People say some people are all the different leaders of the ANC. So take in your Dada Morero and Dada Morero's ambitions within the ANC. Take in the ANC at provincial level. You've got TK Nlinza, Panyaza and Sufi. What are their personal ambitions? So this picture, what I'm trying to say to you, gets muddied by the political considerations. In politics, people test the waters. So when you're randomly starting to hear Loyiso Masuku's name, you must understand there's a reason why that's happening. Does this mean that Loyiso Masuku becomes a figure you need to think about when you think Johannesburg Regional Conference May 2025? I wonder, is she a factor come, I don't know, AC Conference 2026? And that's kind of how the cycle works, right? The names that are coming out aren't coming out for nothing. When people are saying, no, why should Dada stand? Why not maybe a Loyiso? Why not maybe an outsider to stabilize the city? They are going to a conference, and you know what? Believe it or not, they're in conference mode. I think they're split actually in where they need to be, because the other thing I need to speak to you about is the elections, because they must think about the 2026 local government elections. The ANC has lost so much ground over the years across so many metros. Gauteng is a goner. As it stands, based on these election results, the ANC is holding on to the province via minority government. It really has no control. It has no control, really, of the major metros in the province. Can the ANC afford any further losses? I don't think so. And I do think that a lot of the decisions that they're making, including wanting to have an ANC mayor in office, including not wanting to work with the DA at provincial level, are because you're trying to keep your base steady and try to position yourself in a way where you might be able to put your best foot forward for your base. So that is a thing that you do need to think about. My assessment of Kabelo Gwamanda, which is actually what I owed you. Assessment of Kabelo Gwamanda is that he was a shadow, man. Like, you know, he's an interesting figure. He was really inconsequential, whether he's in the room or not. And maybe that's a good thing. That who is mayor, what the mayor says is neither here nor there. That the city's administration is a thing that we ought to look at as a country and make sure if that works, then our cities work. But he really was inconsequential. I think about the fire in the CBD. I think about the fire in the Joburg CBD. Usindi saw, and he really was just a shadow. I think about the tanker, the fuel leak. It was an explosion, yeah. He again was merely a shadow. Where I actually saw him come alive, which is really surprising for me, was at the memorial service of an EFF councillor, Mushe Mpatlele, But he was like, yeah, they say I'm incompetent. And then he went on to explain that they don't like him because he won't drink tea with their white friends. I asked him, who's this? And he was meandering. He didn't give me a proper answer as to who it is. But it was the only time where I saw a spark. So I'm interested in seeing what he does, right? Because I think there is a lesson for him. Once he's gotten all his sleep, he's licked all his wounds, and he's realized that he was nothing more than a stopgap measure. That actually, you with your 2-3 seats, you won't go further than where the big parties want you to go. And you can't even fight it because you know what? You'll be put out via motion of no confidence. He didn't give them a tough time going. But I think that for Kabelo Gwamanda as an individual, a whole host of possibilities have been open. I mean, I had him praising the ESS. I wouldn't be shocked if one day he came up in a beret. Politics is fluid. It wouldn't surprise me. What I thought was interesting is the lesson for me, based on a rise of who is Kabelo Gwamanda, who's Tapele Ahmad. It tells you that our politics are this interesting realm, this interesting sphere of possibilities where anything is possible, where you could be just a councillor, a random councillor, and tomorrow you're holding the keys to the city. The most developed economy on the continent, you are being called that mayor, and you're being respected because that office must be respected accordingly. Never mind your lack of experience or skills or qualifications to be there, you are there. And that's where we are. We're in the realm of possibilities. That's what coalition politics, I think, have given this country. And I think he's realized that. I saw a spark in his eyes, saying when he was offered this job, he didn't think it was possible for him to serve as mayor. Well, 15 months down the line, Kabelo Gwamanda says, watch out, world. You will see me. You will feel me. And so I do think that it's an interesting thing that it's birthed for him as an individual. It's an interesting way of thinking for us as residents and citizens to watch what is possible and what we're forced to accept. You must also recognize and not downplay seeing civil society taking a stand. I think that we must never, ever, ever forget that we do have a power. We do have a say. Tapele Ahmad lasted for half a second for a reason. The pressure was too much. The backlash was too much. And even the partners in that particular coalition or working agreement, whatever they want to call it, recognize that it didn't work. And I won't be surprised if Kabelo Gwamanda is an MMC. Al Jama was represented in that executive. I think the understanding is that he would serve as mayor and then be given a post as an MMC. So he's going nowhere. You'll still see him. I think, though, for Joburg, you are going to get a new mayor. What the mayor's temperament and what he wants to be remains to be seen. But the hope, of course, is that the finances are stable, that services are delivered, and that the issue of the surcharge, because I think it's taken a back seat, the surcharge is still very much an issue. So we hope that that will be dealt with. But ultimately, the hope is for stability. For the political parties in this musical chairs and this machination, I think 2026 is top of mind. Yes, they've got their own internal contestation. Politicians, by their nature, are looking at self-preservation, their own personal careers in the space. Some of the ANC will tell you that there is no iteration that is without us. And when you look at the situation, at least at national and province, that is kind of sort of the case. And it's finding its way into local government in a really odd way. And so I actually say has a stable relationship with the DA. But if I was a DA, I wouldn't trust that relationship. I've listened to some of the utterances. I think if I was a DA, I'd be a little bit worried. Ekurhuleni, we'll probably see some changes too. But that's the thing, right? We are a coalition country. That's it.